Welcome to the Rubber Onion Animation Podcast. We're fueled by an active community here, so if you want to participate, Rubber Onion is one word, I'm everywhere, and the hashtag is Rubber Onion Podcast. Use those and we will see you. Everything else you can find on the website. I'm animator Stephen Brooks. I'm the Rubber Onion. My co-host is animator Rob Yulfo. This is an interview episode. Let's do this.
I'm Spike from Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted Festival of Animation. I love this. This is one of the better interviews I've done here with the Rubber Bouncing Onion guys.
Sure.
You know, I have a podcast too. Did you know that?
You have a podcast.
This is my podcast.
What's it called?
The We Know Jack Show.
We Know Jack Show. Yeah. Nice.
I worked on Nightmare Before Christmas, and my co-host worked on Nightmare Before Christmas, and we're interviewing the crew.
I saw that. You assistant production coordinator?
How do I know
hi,
when?
Spike.
Oh, hi. Are you Kat? Look,
I am Kat.
I have to wear this till Trevor leaves because he's youth and he's a transmitter.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Oh, no.
Transmitter.
Also with the
He's
virtual
gonna-
background, you just can't see your face at all.
It's a transmitter.
Spike's a transmitter too because he goes on walks.
Well,
The transmitter's outside the door. Transmitter has left the room.
you're gonna.
Trevor wants to
Try
know.
not to wiggle so much.
I will.
Hi, Spike.
Hi. I'm going to sit up.
But that is one hell of a mask. It's a full face mask, and then
I got the shade.
sunglasses as always, and the hat.
almost
Black.
like
It's just
you- yeah.
all black everything.
Like you're trying to be anonymous.
All right. I feel better.
I feel like we should take a statement. So, I don't want to step too much on the documentary because the documentary is its thing, and the point is people should watch the documentary and get information from that. But before we get in, just in case anyone for some reason doesn't know what we're talking about, the title of the documentary is Animation Outlaws, and the topic is Spike and Mike's Animation Festival, Sick and Twisted Festival of various names. And we have, now you're going to have to help me with your last name, Kat Alioshin?
No, just think of Alley Ocean, like an alley ocean.
Well, that's easy.
That's how you say it. I never even knew what your name was. No.
Yeah, Spike never even calls me by my real name. To him, I'm Irish Twerporama.
That's right.
You know, that is something that came up in the documentary, not to skip ahead, but he
nicknames.
likes to give nicknames.
Yeah. Only the chosen few. All right, the transmitter's left the room, so
Okay.
So there's another nickname.
yeah. So
Transmitter.
The transmitter.
he's got another, but he's also Muay Thai guy.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, the chosen few get nicknames. I got some pretty good ones. Marv No Oscar Newland. We got
Oh,
Danny
That's-
Andanucci is the Nooch, and his wife
Sure.
is Mrs. Nooch. Irish Twerporama. Mike had a bunch of nicknames.
we haven't even
man.
introduced
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Spike, but I mean, Spike is a nickname. Did you give yourself the nickname?
That's true, and I've had that since I was like really young, so that's true. Sometimes I
How'd
hear
it stick?
Well, it's weird. I hear my name sometimes, I'm like, wow, that's my name, because I've been
Uh-huh.
Spike for so long. So
How'd it stick?
how did I get it?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I was in a band called Sterno and the Flames,
Oh, yeah, that's in the doc.
and you probably don't know what Sterno is because it's a reference. on
Sure,
it.
sure.
You know what it
I
is?
go camping.
Okay, so it's Sterno and the Flames, and I did bass vocals in the band, and it was a stage name from that. We were kind of a greaser band, and we did this cover of 50s rock music out in Riverside.
Riverside comes up a lot in the doc as well, and I mean anything that you look up. The most recent festival was supposed to be, I guess, in March. That was canceled, and that's where this was supposed to premiere, right? At the Riverside Fox
It was
Theater?
actually May 22nd, and it still will be.
May,
It's
okay.
going to be May 22nd, 2021. But
Sure.
we did premiere. I actually went to Annecy, France, and there's a big festival in France. You know of it, probably, of all the
Yeah,
animation.
I went once. It was great.
All right.
Fantastic place to premiere. The audience is so welcoming, and they're so fired up to see animation. And I, by chance, ran into Bill Plimpton there, and he said, "Hey, do you want me to introduce your film?" I'm like, this is such a classic festival situation where here's Bill Plimpton. He's like, "I'll introduce your film." So he did, and great response there. But then it was at Slam Dance, and then Spike has a great relationship with Patrick and Ralph that do the Hey Riverside podcast.
Sure.
And they're the ones who organized the screening that's going to happen again, May 22nd. And they actually, that same day, have asked the mayor to make it Spike and Mike Day in Riverside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's going to happen next year.
That's one thing about the documentary that's heartbreaking, to see everyone in the crowd having so much fun watching the movie. Knowing you can't do that right now, like that.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a sci-fi movie, seeing so many people together in one room.
That's right.
What's cool about the thing with the mayor in Riverside, it's gone full circle, because we were notorious there. We had two houses as Mellow Manor. That's where it came from. The first one was on Magnolia. It's a 2-story, and then later a 4-story Victorian, and it was like total Animal House and early Animal House, even before Animal House. And we'd have these just insane parties, and they'd be declared illegal assemblies because it'd be like 500 people, and they'd shut off the streets and chase everybody out of our parties. So it went from being shut down by the cops all the time to being honored possibly by the mayor of Riverside. So it's full circle. It's kind of cool.
I mean, that's always what like underground things are. In the beginning, there's something that's like getting cracked down on, and then they end up being an institution. Mm-hmm. And then everyone has to eat their words and come around and like, no, it was really good for the town. It was really good for the city. It was really good for animation or for music. So I guess that makes the title Animation Outlaws. Had you had that moniker before, or did you come up with it for this? It just seems to fit.
There was a book was written called Outlaw Animation, and it's about Spike and Mike's festival and other bits of animation, but that was written by Jerry Beck with Spike's help with like getting all the photos and stuff. So I just kind of politely asked Jerry, like, could I swap it and like kind of use a similar title? But it made so much sense. One
more Riverside thing. We also we got rated. We were showing, again, this is back in the day, and we was like I don't know, 20 years old, you know, and we were showing in our living room in a 16 millimeter a porn film on 16 millimeter, and so we had friends over, and they were all adults, and we're in there drinking and smoking, and the cops got a search warrant under false pretense and said we were a movie theater, which the whole thing became a First Amendment violation anyway. So they raided our house. And
wait, because of the amount of people there?
No.
Is that why they said
because they knew the reputation of being a party house, and they went and lied to the judge and said we were showing this porn film and we were a movie theater, and at the time they were raiding the Pussycat theaters and confiscating films, and so they told the judge that. So there were 15 of us there. So Mike and I were left, and we come home, and like everybody's gone and the house is ransacked, and I said, wow, we've been broken into again. And we'll go, wait, they wouldn't steal the people. And like, then the phone rings, and everybody said, get out of there. We're dead. We got locked up. They got arrested. So they arrested 13 of us. And Mike and I, they got Mike later walking down the street. And some friends of mine I went literally underground in Riverside to hide out. And my friend Steve Harmon, who's the lawyer that's in the documentary, if you remember, the really well-spoken guy with the tie, brilliant lawyer, brilliant criminal lawyer. He was the head of the Bar Association in Riverside. Now he's head of the Public Defender's Office. And Steve is like a child prodigy. He was practicing law like 22 years old in Riverside, criminal law. Incredible reputation. So he goes down there and tells the district attorney, number one, the warrant was bogus. Number two, each room was rented separately, so even if it was legit, you'd have to have for that. Number three, they're all adults. And number four, it's their constitutional right, and he's just laying it on. And so they said, yeah, you're right, get out of here. So I came out from underground hiding.
I kind of like the idea of you hiding out in like the sewer, the actual physical underground, like the sewers underneath.
It wasn't a sewer, but it was actually some guys that had a it's just, long story short, they were guys that were always getting in trouble with the law, but they had a bookcase that would move to the side and then the steps down to the basement, and then you move the book.
No way.
Yeah.
There was a hideaway?
Yeah.
Like the actual physical hideaway in the house?
Yeah. The moving bookcase.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought those only existed in like Clue or
Yeah.
like mystery movies. That's great.
Yeah, one certain book you take out and it just kind of spins the wall around.
Actually, the lawyer, he does come up in the doc where you're talking about all the stuff that you're doing, handing out flyers, and you need to know things like, where can I be on the premises? How did you meet him?
I was going out with a girl that was working as a legal aid in his office, and she saw we were always getting raided for the parties, and I was asking her all this legal stuff, and she said, you should talk to Steve. And I go, and Steve was already notorious. And I said, Steve Harmon? She goes, yeah. And I go, oh my God, yeah. So through her, I met Steve, and I've known him all my life, and he always got us out of jams, but an absolute brilliant guy. And he's so well spoken, as you saw in the documentary. Super intelligent, but he really always there had our back, and he still does. We're still good friends.
Well, Kat, you were talking about going to Annecy. Okay, I don't know if this is entirely. I told you I went there one time. Mm-hmm. My first day there, I decided to go get some sun. There were some paddle boats that are there in that lake. Went out and got on the paddle boat. I got sunburned my first day there because of the altitude, I assume. I don't know. I'm also extremely white, so I just assumed Marv. What was his nickname that you gave him?
Marv No Oscar Newland.
So harsh. Is he being interviewed in the paddle boat on that lake? Is that what the interview is?
He is, and I wish I could take credit for that. But there had been another group of people that wanted to do a documentary about Spike and Mike, and they had actually got that footage many years before. So yeah, and I knew that they gave it to me to use. So, but yeah, it's just funny that he's actually on. That is the paddle boats in Annecy for sure.
How bad was your sunburn?
It was bad enough that I needed to go find out how to say lotion,
That's not a red shirt that he's wearing. That's his skin.
Yeah. It's still
shirtless right now.
But it's okay because I went to the market there and I bought 12 physical pounds of cheese.
Wow.
That was gone before I left. It was great. That was my first and only experience in Annecy. It was a great festival.
I'm going to excuse myself for 2 seconds to grab my bottle of water. I forgot to grab it. I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that gives me an opportunity to also drink from my bottle of water. Brought up Bill Plimpton. Mm-hmm. Bill Plimpton, I had seen, at Annecy, I believe that time that I went, but I didn't see him in the doc.
I do. I have a few regrets, and one of them is I did not get Bill. Part of it was just timing, and I recorded him at San Diego Comic-Con. But the audio was pretty bad, and he couldn't really understand what he was saying, and he was signing signatures and wasn't really focused, and his answers weren't quite, right. So, I didn't get him, and I always want to mention his name. And he let me have a couple of his films. You see the clips in the docker of his.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, I just didn't grab him as an interview. Time ran out, and money.
But I did hear you mention on another podcast that you wish it were longer.
Yeah.
Is that something that you might have an opportunity to do now if it's not another year until you premiere? Is that something you're thinking about?
No. I mean, there's people would say like bonus material. I could pull together a little bit for that. I did on the DVD. There's a little bit of San Diego Comic-Con because I interviewed tons of people at the con that wanted to express their feelings for how much they love Spike and Mike. But again, it's one of those things that didn't quite fit in the documentary because it was almost too much of a love fest. It's like, well, yes, everyone liked it, so I didn't want that to be the main part of the film. But I think at this point, the parts that I did want to get, like the donation to UC Riverside, which I filmed, but I didn't include the donation to Academy of Arts, all the films that Spike donated. It kind of just didn't fit into the pattern of the film. So they're out there. I don't know if I'd put that on a bonus thing that would come later. And as far as distribution, no, it would have to be an entire new piece of work. So yeah, thanks for asking about that. But at the same time, people have also said, well, they just kind of it ends and they go, oh man, I want some more, and I think that's a good feeling at the end of a doc.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It is.
You should definitely leave him wanting more.
Yeah.
All right, there we
Got
go.
your water?
Yeah, I got the water, and I got this.
How great if he came back and said, "Oh, right, the water."
Not that bad. But I got this. I got to put this in it now. This will do it.
Oh, is that one of the those flavored?
No, this is the special formula. All right.
Spike is
All
spiking
right.
his
I'll be
drink.
I'll be awake in a minute.
Oh, that's where the
You
nickname
should
comes
know
from.
something.
Electrolytes. They're electrolytes.
He's very healthy. He's very, very healthy. He eats very well. He trains. He works out, and
didn't
he's
used to.
constantly.
Now I do.
He's constantly putting things in his water, which, like he said, is electrolytes. But he's very fit.
Spike, you're a tall guy. Like I've seen you at conferences and film festivals. I mean, because we've been at the same one. I'm not creeping around, but like Spike's a big guy, and your hats just make you even taller.
That's true.
And when you're talking to Bill Plimpton, another giant, you guys are just standing next to each other. And I feel like I shrunk.
We're giants among lesser men.
Oh, calls me lesser men right on my own podcast
No.
and takes a victory swip
No,
of
I didn't mean-
electrolyte.
There's
spiked
your new
water.
nickname.
No, it wasn't about you guys. No, it wasn't about you guys. It was a self-abuse comment. Hey, Kat, the cell over your left shoulder. Who did that one?
Oh, this one?
Yeah,
Nick Park.
that's a Nick. Okay.
Yeah, that's Nick
Oh, that's
Park.
great.
It's Spike and Mike.
A seal and a walrus.
And then we got over here, we've got Everett Peck did my t-shirt design, but he also did 6, flyers play a big part in the documentary, the way they would promote in all the towns. And so Everett did 6 of the flyer covers, but then he also did my shirt, this design.
All right. He's so good.
He's the one that you had the quad shot over when he was drawing, right?
Yes.
That was that shot? Yeah. He was that was a great portion of the doc going over the posters. Oh, also the opening credits were really fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So those were also, that's all done on a down shooter. Anthony Scott is the animator. Alex, oh gosh, I'm sorry, Alex, I can't remember your last name right now. I gave him a bunch of flyers that I wanted to use, and they just basically did a lot of Xeroxing and cut them out, and they're hinged so they can move, but it's all done on a down shooter in Anthony's garage.
Yeah, obviously in a doc called Animation Outlaws, having animation is kind of a key. My favorite one was the stop motion one.
Thank you.
Where you came out as
Oh,
a
that was
cowboy, and Scotty was the cutest stop motion dog, and also the clip of Scotty running around and just popping the balloons was great. Scotty was your dog, right, Spike?
Yeah, Scotty the Shredding Wonder Dog.
Yeah.
He was really amazing. He got to be pretty famous. I mean, we'd play. It's kind of my way of vicariously representing myself on stage because, I mean, I like doing it now a lot, but at the time I didn't have the stage thing or wouldn't go on stage because Mike was so good at it. He was super, super good. And Scotty would go on there and perform. And one night at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, we had a sold-out shows. And Scotty did 50 balloons, beach balls, huge inflatable balloons. And then I took a sex doll and held it out the side wing of the stage and pumped the audience up. And they knew what was coming. So then I threw it out there. And he runs out. And he grabs it, and it's flailing and stuff, and he deflates it. And I go, if he'll just pull it off. It's a full theatrical stage at the Palace, too. And I said, if he'll just pull that off stage, this is a Midnight Sick and Twisted show. And I'm just looking at him, just pull it, just drag it off. And he looks over at me, and he starts coming. He sees I motion to him, but he does grab it and drags it off stage. Finale. And they went nuts. Standing ovation. They were standing on the arms of the chairs cheering and stuff. And
I don't think there will ever be anything like that. Now, like we go to so many animation events where the host comes out and goes, "Hey guys, we have a variety of animated shows coming up, including some." To have something like that to keep the audience so energized, and then start playing the animated shorts is incredible.
You guys are gonna love this. Here's the Scotty.
Oh, look at that! Hey, yeah, the design is great. The animation is great.
Thank you. The gal who helped me make it, Victoria Rose, did all the silicone and everything. And then I had Bird McCargar. I didn't like the way the texture was looking from the casting. So she actually, these are threads that she just glued on. So he's just, these are all individual threads.
Wow.
And then this is the funny part of Spike. I never let him see this design because I knew he'd be mad about it.
Oh, I'm getting at
because of his belly. But there's Spike. And if you guys, are you stop motion animators? Do you animate?
Rob does some.
Yeah.
Rob does some, yeah.
So Rob, you would love this armature. It's built by Merrick Cheney, who's prolific armature builder.
Oh, that
He's
is
done
so
all the
good.
work on all the stop motion films, but it's like butter. It's Tim Hiddle animated Spike, but he's got a nice little magnetic release
Yep.
mouth. The animation part you mentioned you liked a lot. I definitely borrowed from Nick Park's Creature Comforts, where I went into a room and I recorded Spike and had him just talk, and then I edited that together, and that's what we animated to. We animated to Spike talking, so it was kind of a free thought. Like I said, Spike, just talk about things, and he did, and then we shortened it to about 2.5 minutes of stop mo.
Yeah, it really came through. It was a good bit. I actually kind of wondered how that happened, because in the middle of it, he gets hit with a newspaper and goes, "Ow." Okay, wait. So it was planned, or was it planned? I mean, that must have been a
that
pickup
later.
later. Yeah. Sure, that makes sense. It was a great bit, and then even just the added thing of the cow that comes out, and it's a wind-up cow, and it's something that you referenced earlier on in the doc, and it was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
You go through a lot about the personality differences and the combination between you and Mike. And you just brought up Mike was like the showman, costume contests and stand-ups and balloons and getting people revved up. And then 90% of the shots of you are out in a costume, big hat, handing out flyers, making people smile, uncomfortable and otherwise. That is a very particular type of skill not a lot of people have, or even if you might have it, not a lot of people want to explore that area because of how uncomfortable it might be.
Thank you for recognizing that. I didn't ever thought about it too much that way. I do think about, I was always really good with props and coming up using props when we promoted, because it'd break the ice, and I had that cowboy outfit. And then I was in some mall somewhere leaving flyers, and I saw the black and white, Kat probably has one, the black and white cows.
Oh, yeah, I do.
And I'll wait till...
There's another bit of the thing. He mentions something, and then Kat just disappears and comes back with it.
All right, where'd she go?
She's got it.
Close by.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, look at that.
Yep.
Let's see. And those things, what they do is they walk, and the tail wags, and then they moo. So they walk and moo and wag the tail. So I'm like, all right, there you go. And so
I won't be able to turn it off now. Shh, quiet. Oh my gosh.
I went into the toy store and bought 25 of them. And I got the batteries, and I took them over, and they were color coordinated to the cowboy outfit. And then I got the whip, which is black and white. And so I had the whole ensemble. So we were flying UC Berkeley, which is a hellish place to flyer because they're inundated with everything in the world. And they're just tunnel vision. I mean, they turn you off, and they kick you down to the curb in a second. So we're out there, and so I got cows, and I'm out there herding the cows. And so they finally broke the ice, and they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then some of them still wouldn't take them, and I asked Mike. He goes, yeah, it's hard getting rid of them. We get so frustrated. Plus, we had to do it because that's the only way we could make a living. If we didn't sell at the show, we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So that's something people didn't understand. We had to sell at each show, one, to live and pay for the hotel, and two, to have money to do the next show. So that's why we do 18-hour days. So they weren't taking them still. So I sent one of our flyer guys down and bought a big ass sledgehammer at a hardware store. And so I got up, Mike, I had the sledgehammer, Mike up on a chair, and he had a loudspeaker, and he's going, if you don't take the flyer, Spike's going to smack these cute little cows with the sledgehammer. And I go, I'm going to do it, Mike, I'm going to do it. And I go, here I go. And then they go, no. And so people started taking them. And then we called the Daily Cal and all these papers and the media, and it's like, what? There's a guy on the campus with a whip and 25 cows? What? So we got in the papers. So that's how we guerrilla marketed stuff.
Hey everyone, Stephen Brooks here, cutting into my own show to let you know that this episode is supported by listeners like you on patreon.com/RubberOnion. If you like what you get from this show, you see value in it and want to keep it going, consider becoming a patron and get basically everything related to the podcast early and or exclusive, including our new Podcastimation, which you get to see a full month early. It's like a subscription, but you get to pick the amount. The more you give, the more you get. The show can go on. Patreon.com/RubberOnion. Check it out. As always, thanks for listening, and let's all meet up back at the forum on RubberOnion.com. I'll see you there.
It was a road show,
Yeah.
right? The space between the shows and how long you traveled between them. Like, I don't remember if that was brought up exactly in the doc, but
We do. Well, eventually, we had 5 crews. So we'd be doing the University of Washington, the Ridge Theater in Vancouver, the Coolidge Corner Brookline in Boston. We'd be playing La Jolla Contemporary Art, maybe the Fox Riverside, and so we'd have all crews out there. In a big city, we'd go there and promote for 2 weeks prior and hand out, like San Francisco, 100 to 150,000 flyers, and
For real.
we'd end up
that's crazy.
Yeah, so San Fran was 150,000 to hit all the surrounding cities, and what was crazy about it was just the intensity of it. And a lot of people don't know this. We'd go to every store. It's like you go down Haight Street, and so we'd know every business that'd take them on Haight Street, or we'd go down Grant, and we'd go, corporate won't take them, cool, corporate, not cool, and me and my guys would know where to go and take the flyers. We'd always do in the barter system. We had tickets, I called them spike bucks, that I printed up. They were comps to the show. And we'd go in and barter everywhere. I'd go into a t-shirt shop that my friend had on Haight Street, and they'd go, give me tickets for my staff, and I'd go t-shirts for me and my crew. Or there was Mara's Pastries or something in North Beach. It had these incredible pastries, and the guy in there loved the show. And I'd hook him up, and he'd load up all boxes and boxes for my crew of parking, drinks, everything. So there was a barter system, but we'd go out and leaflet the movie lines. Mike had worked the schedules for the movie lines, like this one sells out, the next show's at 9:30, so you guys are there at 9, hit this line, finish this one, go over to the UA 12 because they're going to show Star Wars, they're going to line up again, hit that line, now go back over there. But then we go out and hit the schools, San Francisco State, San Francisco City College, and you flyer, and then you do the malls and the stores and the concerts and special events, and handing on Haight and Ashbury on the corner.
So about that road show and that hustle and having the crews that you had and you have so many stories and so many experiences.
Santa Cruz, a lot of stories in Santa Cruz. Wow. A lot of them are coming back now, all these stories. But yeah, my point is that's the intensity of how we promoted and to the degree that we'd promote and how thorough and intense it was. Because we didn't have the money for any of the quote mainstream at the time, like heavy radio, television, billboards, all that crap, people had. So we just had the one thing that's why Steve, the lawyer, came into play, because the only thing we had that they couldn't take away from us was the street. They couldn't take away our right to stand on Haight Ashbury in the corner and hand out flyers because it was public property. And so we learned all that stuff because they'd always chase us off of the malls because the malls are privately owned and crap. So it's all this stuff that we learned. So that's where Steve came into it, the lawyer.
I love how it became a performance art and a show on its own. I used to hand out, like, not a lot, but comedy club tickets and for different events have to hand out flyers. And it was just a nightmare. Hey, you're pretty much like, you have to light yourself on fire to get some attention. Yeah. And like to dress up and do something to get people to actually pay any interest to it. It's amazing. I wish I kind of thought of that. I have obviously a lot of props here that I could have worn out there to hand out these flyers.
I was going to say at Slam Dance this year, they're like, "Oh, bring thousands of flyers," and I made little postcards out of the poster, and we're out there. We're actually tagging them up, and a guy comes up and he's like, "Well, you can't post those up here. You can't hand them out." And we're like, "What? No way." He said he's illegal in Park City. You can't be promoting like that. But then, we'd go across the street and still do it because that's how I was with Spike at Slam Dance, and Spike was, Spike's, what are you, 6'5", you're a big guy, and Taylor Swift movie was playing at Sundance, so he was like, "Hi, I'm Taylor Swift. I'm Taylor Swift," and people were taking him right and left. But yeah, it was kind of weird that we couldn't actually promote the way we wanted to promote there because it was illegal.
How did you pick how to choose the stories to share in the doc? Because I would imagine just sifting through.
My editor, Erica Jordan, was amazing in helping me that way because it was daunting. It was a bit scattered. I mean, I kind of generally had the same questions for each interviewee, but at one point it was like, well, this is getting, it's too much, right? But just being able to say, okay, this is going to be all about the Flyers, that chapter, that was easier to do it that way.
Was there anything that jogged your memory, Spike, about the documentary? Listen to stories that someone else told, or even you sitting down and telling stories. Like you were saying, all this stuff is kind of coming back. Was there anything that refreshed your memory, or is it always right there?
It's pretty much right there, as long as I get enough sleep. No, it's...
and the electrolyte.
Yeah, the electrolytes, they're my best friend, But yeah, I mean, thinking about the cows too, I mean, there's so many, I wish, like Kat said too, it would have been nice to even add more time on the documentary. It's like, I really like people to know that the degree of effort we put into promoting a show. I mean, I can't even articulate it. I mean, you live on the road. We were, none of us had, I guess it was almost like the Foreign Legion or something, man. Like anybody coming on board in our crew, it was like married, kids, girlfriend, forget it. You're into this, we're on the road. This is what we're doing. If you're not down with that, take a walk. And, because we were out there, and I've never been a quote normal kind of society guy. I've always been a freak or an outcast. I'm a kid from the 60s, so I've always been a different kind of bird, and I'm not the family guy or the PTA or the soccer mom guy, and so everybody was there. Nobody was married, no kids, no nothing. So you're on the road, and that's what we're doing. We're living on the road, and we'd come back, we'd break for 2 weeks in December during Christmas, and then hit the road again, and
that effort really comes across in the doc.
Thanks.
I mean, it really does. And just on that, I actually wrote in my notes when I was watching the doc, someone named, I don't know if I didn't rewind to look, but Amy Gusick? I don't know how you pronounce underneath on the lower third, just in her little title slug, it says archaeologist and former employee. So, I mean, if that is not the coolest...
Yes, good call. That's why I wanted her in. I call her Amy Gooseneck.
That's right there. That's right there for you.
Low-hanging fruit. But, she's, I believe, the head curator or something in L.A. for the... I guess it's the Natural History Museum. Do you know, Kat, what the museum was?
I don't know if they call it natural history, but it is in that. Yeah,
she's the head cheese there. It's pretty exciting.
That's amazing. I'm assuming she wasn't a practicing archaeologist at the time. She was working with Spike and Mike, but I mean that's a cool thing to go on to. She got her PhD. I didn't see her for some years, and it's like Dr. Gooseneck. I'm going, you really did that? How did you get the PhD? And you're in charge of this thing? And so I'm like, yeah. She was working San Francisco with this flyer on Haight Street. So I mean that's the other thing you get also in the doc is just kind of an inside look in. I mean, you said Animal House, but even when you're going out and all the shots of people having dinner and animated. I mean, when Rob and I go to places and we go out with people that maybe we have seen online, right? It's a bit different now, but people that we meet online and we go out to dinner, we see them face to face, and animation sometimes is very secluded. So it takes so long to do it, and then you do it, and especially animated shorts, to be able to see your animated shorts. I mean, there was so many people that said that was like a big turning point for them, seeing it with an audience. And I don't know what goes into curation of picking the films, but that's got to be some sort of divining rod too. I don't even know if you can describe that.
Yeah, I mean, two of my favorite quotes now of my life is one is Jerry Beck, who did the book Outlaw Animation historian, and he said Spike and Mike came from nowhere with nothing and created a market where none existed. And that's so right on. And the other one is, I got a quote, I was at Sundance from Robin Williams. And it was so funny. We're talking because we had mutual friends, and he knows the Lasseters and people in San Francisco, and he'd come to our show, and he was at like Starbucks or something on the main street in Sundance. And we're talking and talking. He's got the arms full of all these coffees and stuff, and he's going out the door when the door is to his back. And I go, Robin, give us a quote about Spike and Mike. And he goes, like, he's so quick. He goes, Spike and Mike Sick and Twisted is like Disney with tits. Use it. I got to run. I'm like, I got a pencil. Give me a pen.
That's a plug.
Is there anything that you turned down that you kind of regret now, that you kind of passed on and then go on to the festival?
It's a great question.
No, I'm pretty proud of Mike and myself, and then later on myself, of always being there. We're first on the block before there was a block, and we were showing this stuff when people were doing them as storyboards and stuff. I mean, it would have been nice. We tried to get the Simpsons interstitials from the Tracy Ullman show, and the corporation wouldn't let us use those. We tried to get those, but no, pretty much I think everything we went after, we were pretty diligent. We got it. And
were you and Mike usually on the same page with stuff? Did you ever disagree on anything?
Later on in life, he got to be a little more. He was extremely, extremely well read, and he worked at a bookstore, and he got a little bit more artsy and a little more intellectual with stuff than I did, and I was more, because of my background and where I grew up and stuff, into the Sick and Twisted, because I liked, we were pretty young at the time, but I liked the young crowd, and I come from the Animal House thing, and I liked the humor in the Sick and Twisted films. And later on, I got to have an immense appreciation for the original show and what went into the films that somebody spent 3.5 years to make. A 13-minute film, with 30,000 hand-rendered cells, and just some masterpieces of film, and then getting to meet all these world-class, Bruno Bozzetto from Italy, a great animator, and just the world's best, and then Nick Park, and hanging out with those guys. So it's kind of like that.
MTV, growing up, I watched a lot of Liquid Television, and later on, I think there was like a Cartoon Sushi, I think, that had a variety of stuff as well. And I think that was my first access to a lot of the stuff that like started off in your festival. And I feel like for years I've been kind of thinking that that's where it kind of grew from. But you guys are the roots of where all that stuff came from. I learned later on down the line that it came from Spike and Mike, and then I purchased DVDs. And
all right,
and right here next.
That's not a new DVD.
No.
That is a
I had to dig for that, but he
didn't get it on eBay knowing that we had the interview or anything. He's had that.
Let me add one thing about the content. It's kind of interesting. Maybe when we first started, there was a woman in Reseda. It was called the Creative Film Society, and she kind of took us. There's a picture of her in the book. She kind of took us under her wing and helped us, because I always loved the Max Fleischer, because in the band we'd show 16 millimeter behind the band. We'd show. Then before that, I was promoting midnight rock and roll films and horathons and stuff like that. And, we'd do a show at some science lecture hall, and we'd go, Mike and I go, we made $50 tonight. That's $25 a piece, $25 a piece, Mike. And we're like, all right. But when we first started, there weren't enough films to put together. And we got some history of films from her. That's how we learned about Paul Driesen, the great Dutch animator, Marv Newland, a lot of great early animators. And then there was Pyramid Films, and we had some great films from them. And then it led to early Will Vinton Studios in Portland. and then later on the National Film Board was a source. But at first, for the Sick and Twisted show, that's why we produced the first two Beavis and Buttheads and so many, Andrew Stanton's first films and so many films that we put any money we made, we put into them to have inked and paint and camera shot and everything, the lab work and then the promotion, the distribution of them, because we couldn't put 90 minutes together of good films, and we scour in the world, and especially Sick and Twisted. So that's where so many of the films, we actually had to make the films to have the films in the library. It's a total cottage industry thing. And that's something
Yeah,
else.
that was interesting in the doc, talking about how many films you actually produced.
Yes.
Is it Pete Docter, maybe,
Right.
who was saying that you had gone up and said, hey, like your film, you want to color it.
Mm-hmm. It's Pete, but also Mike Mitchell, too. Mike has that whole part in there. Mike Mitchell, who's gone on to do Trolls and other films.
Right,
yeah.
right. I mean, obviously, it makes sense. You gotta have content to show, but that's also the other part of the doc. And I guess a jump off of Rob's question, which was, if it stays underground, the information also stays underground. So one of the nice things about the doc is that it is like, oh, you thought it was here. This is where it started. Yeah. So who approached whom for the doc?
Oh, well, I met up with Spike in on Haight Street, of all places, because that's our old hunting grounds on a place called Cha Cha Cha. And he was saying, oh, I've been approached by a couple of guys that want to do the documentary. Someone started one, they didn't finish. And as he was talking, I'm just thinking, wait a minute, hang on, light bulb went off. I worked for them back in the 80s. I'm in animation now. I think that I should probably be the one to do it. So that night, I think I emailed him or called him or texted him and said, I want to do the documentary about you. So he didn't complain. He said, go for it. So yeah, it was sort of the thought that made sense for me to do it, since I kind of knew him too. So, and I was going to get all the right people. Being in animation, and I'm in the Bay Area, so Pixar's right across the bridge here. I was able to get Andrew and Pete like with a simple phone call. It was easy because I worked with them before. So yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer actually. Right, Spike?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's right.
You're part of the crew, part of the gang. You
right.
could
the circus in the beginning.
Yeah.
Well,
and there's a bit of cred that comes with that if you're going to interview people. Also, being like, oh yeah, I was there.
Also with Kat, the first thing is you can trust her. So right there, you're off to the races. Yep. And then she didn't. If you saw the documentary, she got some of the best research people, the best camera guy. She didn't cut any damn corners. She stepped up. She wrote the checks. It's professional as hell. It's classy. I mean, it's maybe it's biased because it's about me. Yeah. But still, I defy anybody to watch that and say it's not done professionally, and it's a damn good documentary.
Is there any animation now that you look at that you think would be a perfect fit for the Spike and Mike Festival?
Yeah, we have some. It's not brand new, but we got a film not too long ago. I call it Cats and Things, from a studio in Colorado. Our friends, we've known them for a long time. Mighty Fudge Studios, and Cats and Things like that. I saw, and I'm 15 seconds into it, and I go, winner. It's got legs. It's a 10 for Sick and Twisted. They'll love it. It's hilarious, and that's something I've gotten. We were always good at it, but I've gotten so good at it. I think maybe doing so many live shows with literally millions of people over the years in big cities, little cities, huge campuses, other countries, performing arts centers, theaters. And after a while, you do so many shows, you get to know what works and what doesn't. And that's why we've always been there first before anybody else. That's why I saw, for God's sake, Pete Docter, who's now the head of Pixar Animation. We're seeing Pete. I made 3 films with Pete. We put money in 2 films with Andrew Stanton, who did Finding Nemo. I see we somehow just know and see the talent, and I think later on is finely tuned by doing the shows and knowing what plays. So I can curate really well. And that's why, like when we did the corn Jonathan Davis came to us from Korn, and he said, "Can you do an hour custom show?" And like, hell yeah! And that's what I'm good at. It's just the networking and knowing what works, because very few people have been to live audiences like we have, where you're actually in the audience with the show in so many places. And again, you took their money, so you have a responsibility to them to deliver and give them more their money's worth if you want them to come back. And that's what we always did.
There's a lot of film festivals now that are going online because of, obvious reasons, not being able to have crowds of people. I mean, obviously there's different challenges for curating films, I'm assuming, that would be watched at home. Do you even think that can be done appropriately? If you don't have an audience to bounce off of, what does that mean for curation?
Well, there is such an energy, in the crowd, and we worked it up so much. And, it's exciting, too, being at 2,000-seat auditorium or the Castro Theater or something. You see the whole place go off, and you sit there, you know the film so well, you timing of the film, this one will get them right now, boom. I did a show in Annecy out on the lawn with 5,000 kids. And they're all smoking and all, and I'm watching out there, and they're just busting up. And here I'm in a foreign country, different countries represented, and they loved it. But as far as the without an audience, I think more people are getting at home, having groups together and friends and that sort of thing. We're actually talking now, and one of the things I want to do is I've built up a pretty huge library of content that we own all the ancillary rights to, and we've got great brands, and so we're putting it out there to the sort of industry and world that I'm at the point where I want to either be acquired or merge with somebody where they can take those torches, somebody that has the infrastructure, they can take the ball and run with it, but still let me be Spike and go to places like Annecy and network and find films. That's where I'm focused on right now. That's where I want to be. Just a door to open for us, like we've opened a door for so many people all my life.
Well, this is a question for both of you, because I know, Kat, you're in the animation industry on the creation side. I was going to say production side, but creation side. Spike, you can come at it from the angle of producing films and screening films. The future of animation as it is now, we're at a point where animation has been proved to be a very stable asset. That's like the only thing being produced right now is animation, because people are at home, they can work from home. Where do you think it's going? Do you have a crystal ball to that?
You're so correct in saying it's very stable, and I just actually got a job starting tomorrow with Stupid Buddy Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So, thank you, and I'm gonna just help them get some new resources, go new places, get more people. There is so much animation right now, a lot of stop motion animation, which I'm a big fan of course.
Yeah. What's the gig? What's the position?
I can't actually tell you.
Oh no, you can't say. Okay,
I'll be line producing, but actually probably setting up a new studio. Yeah, I mean they're definitely they're outgrown their current place in Burbank. But
money shuffling.
I think the hope, all the features that I know that are being worked on, Pinocchio and Henry's Wendell and Wild, that does take a while to do. We're talking 2 years out. They're hoping the theater situation comes back, and I know that for sure. That's what they still want to do, theatrical release. But there's other content now it's going to be just fine to go right on video on demand or series work, television. So. It's out there. It's more about the curious about Spike's response of shorts in a group like that, and how to get that out there to people.
That'll all be broken up by police raids.
Yeah.
thinking that they're little theaters.
Kat, do you have to move there tomorrow?
No, it's all remote. It's all remote.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Hey, real quick, I'll answer the question, but what's with the ducks?
It's over Kat's head.
Antiques, just antiques from, they're decoys, hunting decoys.
Yes, that's very nice, Kat. I see. Of course. Tell me
right.
more. Tell me more about the ducks, Kat.
Very important.
So where are we at? The question as far as the industry, where it's going in the future?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I just know how to curate. I just know what works and what's good and what has a story and what characters design is good. And at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, that to me is the bottom line, whether it's online or in a theater. If you deliver to the audience and they leave more than satisfied, that's the bottom line. And that's what we always tried to do. And we take it very, very personal. And if somebody, I'd talk to people when they leave, thousands of people, hi, thanks for coming. What film did you like? What did you think? What did you like? And I liked everyone except that one. It's, yeah, the credits are too long. So I won't mention the film, but we had one film that was absolutely brilliant. And it probably would have won the Oscar. But the guy kind of stepped on his own film by making the credits like 8 minutes long. And
Oh, I hate that. That's like the number one rule of film festivals. The credits should not be longer than the film.
Wait, my credits are long, but I have stuff in them, so you can watch stuff while you're watching.
Oh, as long as you're entertained.
Yours,
it's fine.
yeah, but yours is a doc. That's a full. That's a
Yeah.
full.
yeah, they don't understand. The audience was pumped up on it. Then each minute it starts to dissipate. And except for the most brilliant credits I've had, and I can watch them because it's absolutely brilliant and entertaining, is the credits on the end from Ratatouille. Oh my God, that is.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, those
those are
beautiful.
so clever. The way they flow,
Yeah.
just brilliant.
Yeah. Well, Rob had one final, very important question or a series of questions that he wanted to ask.
Oh, okay. Did I?
Yeah.
Do you want to skip that and play our game?
Ooh.
That is the.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So I know you're known for having a large collection of hats,
Oh boy.
different head accessories. So I would like for you to rate
Accessories.
the the head accessories that I have with me right by my side here. All right. So the first one I'm pulling up here is U.S. Mail one here.
Oh, well, that's
Now,
appropriate.
you don't have to answer immediately, I guess, but what would
if
you
want,
rate
if you want to
this
get the full, if you want to get the full
Yeah.
thing, and then rate. So we'll call that U.S. mail.
Now, this is a plastic one. Kind of looks like a, I don't know, movie prop or something. But
Great.
all right, that's the first one here.
Number two.
I'm surprised Spike isn't wearing a hat right now.
I am.
We have this
I mean,
teddy bear one.
Yeah.
All right,
that's a
that's
good-
good.
The teddy bear one. Yeah, with the flaps down the sides. Yeah.
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 That's
All right.
that's a good one. That's number two. Or B.
We got
we should call it B.
Viking helmet here.
classic.
You know, I like to wear it like this,
Yeah.
make it a little more sillier.
Little kill the wabbit.
And final one is the head one
Oh,
here.
I have a
Can
feeling.
I just tell you, in Second our interviews, we don't curse until the guest does,
Okay.
Yeah.
and you guys have been clean the whole time.
Oh.
Have not swore once, and then Rob just
Well,
broke it.
we've
I think we just
decided-
assumed.
But we've decided that word is TV friendly now.
Oh, that's
so
right,
it's-
that's right,
It's
yeah,
okay
it's
to
TV
say it now in public.
Okay, so male, bear,
Yeah.
Viking.
Viking,
Viking
and let's call it duty.
Yeah.
duty hat.
What do you
Bear.
think?
Bear.
Oh,
Bear.
cute. Spike likes the animals. He's
What-
an
what is-
animal lover.
What is the pink thing? It looks like a hamburger pie or something behind.
Oh, behind
here.
you. It's donuts.
Oh,
Donut.
this one. That's a giant milkshake
Okay.
that
Oh.
my friend used to work at Whole Foods, and it was at it was at like a stand.
Yeah.
So it's a big wooden milkshake. When he moved in with his girlfriend was like, "We're not having that in the house." So he decided, to get rid of it, and he put out a post, and I was like, "I'll take it." I
Wow.
don't know where
Cool.
I would put it, but I'll take it. I need that prop.
He's had it forever,
Yes.
and it's huge.
Yeah.
That's pretty
It's
good.
heavy. It's just in the way, but I love it.
That's pretty
Oh,
good.
well, I love your bear head because Spike does have a lot of animals, giraffes and other. I mean, hats, hat wise. But
I gotta say, when you came on and you had a mask on, I was half expecting for the flourish of the hats to extend to the flourish of the mask, and it was just a plain black mask. I was kind of disappointed.
one of these days on an interview, Spike, have all your hats next
box.
to you. You can keep.
I'll
yeah.
do that. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I got
Okay.
Spike the bum cat is here.
He's got
I-
a transient cat that comes to his house named Spike.
Oh, very nice.
He's a bum cat.
Is there anything else you wanted to say before we release you back into quarantine?
If anyone, I think it's kind of cool if people want to know the clips that you see behind the interviewees, and there's 65 pieces. If you go onto the website animationoutlaws.com, you can see the order there. I've listed them in order, so if you have any question about who made them, it's the order and who directed it. So that's kind of fun little research historical piece there. But yeah, and please go see it, watch it, video on demand, YouTube, all sorts of places, or buy it and you can have it in your library.
Where's your personal favorite? If you could recommend one place where you would want people to buy it from, where would you want to buy it from?
I actually think Amazon.com is pretty happening right now.
All right, Amazon.com. That's
Thank
easy.
you.
Where are you guys? New York City?
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York. Yep, New York City.
I've never been there. I've never been to New York.
No, I don't believe that.
No, it's true.
No way. No, that's not true.
It is.
That can't be true.
It is.
Oh, wow.
Aren't
You've
there
been-
like a lot of tall buildings up there?
You've been to France,
I've seen
Spike. You flew
pictures of it.
over us.
That's
Or
where
through us.
That's where that Emperor State Building is, or something, isn't it?
Lady Liberty? And,
Yeah.
Liberally, yes, that's
Liberty?
it. Yeah.
Did I say it
Yeah.
correctly?
Nope.
Bill Plimpton lives there. I know that, but no,
Yeah, that's true,
I've
yeah.
never been there.
I mean, you got to come out when it's not when it's not quarantine time.
Well, I wanted to say thank you, Rob and Steven, on their awesome podcast on the Rubber Onion for having Kat and Spike on their podcast. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What's the cow's name then?
I don't know, but this is an actual one. I have about 5, and if you had joined the Indiegogo campaign about 2 years ago, this was one of the
Right.
prizes. You would have gotten an original cow. So about about 6 people got these. And I have a few extra, and I do. I have T-shirts for you guys. I need to get your address, and I'll send you some swag.
Oh, that's great. Oh, thanks
awesome.
a lot.
So I don't know.
We might have to
Great.
resize it for our quarantine bodies now. So.
What's strange about this is we've all the stuff we've done and all the stuff we believed in, all the stuff we premiered and all the shows, and we're not so powerful or so wealthy, we don't get those kind of doors to open and the chops. And that's been my experience with this industry a lot. And I think that point I just made in reference to the documentary is that this, aside from the fact that it's made about me and I'd be biased, okay, set that aside for a second. She did a hell of a job, and it's what we did. I'd like to see somehow, obviously for myself, but for her, a door to open up to where I've seen that door open up with so many people, and they get mainstream on that level of the layer cake, if you will, to where they're out there and it gets something that's so big that Joe Blow and Mr. and Mrs. Jones see it. But in the same way an artist goes out there and they see him perform and somehow they break through. I don't know, you take like Gwen Stefani or something, she's this girl and talented and attractive, and she does I'm Just a Girl. Then all of a sudden everybody in the world knows who No Doubt Gwen Stefani is. That she broke through. And that's just one example. And that's what I'd like to see happen with Kat and the documentary somehow, to where it just breaks the goddamn ice once and for all.
Woo! Thank you, Spike.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
Kat Alioshin
Yeah.
is Gwen Stefani.
Thank you, guys. This is a great podcast. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was
Great.
nice
Thanks.
to meet you. It was
Thank you,
nice
Kat.
to meet you, Kat.
Bye, Gwen.